for Humanity Apostle Build last Wednesday, I was reminded of the story of Jesus calling the disciples to leave behind the career they knew of fishermen and to become disciples instead. Hear these words from Matthew chapter 4, verses 18 through 22. As he walked by the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fish for people." Immediately they left their nets and followed him. As he went from there, he saw two other brothers, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John, in their boat with their father Zebedee, mending their nets, and he called them. Immediately they left their boat and their father and followed him. It's unclear why it's these men that Jesus calls to, but it's to these men to whom Jesus says, "Follow me and I will make you fish for people." The men leave their profession, the one that they've trained for, and become fish out of water. And now they become professional religion starters without any experience or qualifications. They're willing and able, and they commit to learning as they go. During a Habitat for Humanity build, you have volunteers who are like the disciples, fish out of water. They're willing and able, and they say yes, and they show up to help anyways. And you have those who thankfully know exactly what they are doing. In this space, there's room for both, those who know and those who don't know. One doesn't have to be a professional builder, just as the disciples didn't have to be professional religion builders. And perhaps just as Jesus offered grace and patience to the disciples throughout their journey, those who know what they're doing on a Habitat build site offer grace and patience and repeated explanations to those of us who need to hear it more than once. While this is all the story we get to the beginning of the disciples' career path, we later hear stories of the disciples in the gospel as they find their footing throughout Jesus' ministry. I imagine between these stories, there's a real learning experience. These people knew each other as brothers, and they knew each other due to their work as fishermen. But now they're learning new things about one another. Things like, how do you problem solve? How do you react in the unknown? What gifts do you have when we're outside of the boat? Perhaps they found connections with one another outside of fishing. Perhaps they were surprised to find a common love, amused by someone's humor that only appeared once they were on land. Maybe they discovered the ones who are far more fearful, and perhaps they discovered those who have a knack for public speaking. We all learned something about one another when we were outside of the pew and now on a construction site at the Habitat build. We learned things like your pastor has really bad aim when she's hammering and the nail is almost all the way in. But we also learned who grew up doing construction projects with their dad, which has allowed them to have a knack for all of this. Who likes to eat what in their packed lunch, or what was the easiest thing to grab when they left their house in the morning. Or we learned from a few youth who are enjoying their different school schedule this year, when it means that on a random Wednesday they can come and do construction work instead. It's in spaces like these, the ones different than we usually inhabit with one another, that it becomes clear to see koinonia, Christian fellowship with one another. We dropped our fishing rods and we picked up a hammer and nails, and in this different space than our normal, we learned about one another. We saw each other's gifts and we heard one another's stories, and we were met with grace and patience as we found our footing outside of the fishing boat. If you're willing and able, perhaps you'll join the Habitat build this upcoming Saturday morning, or perhaps you'll commit to another out-of-the-boat experience with part of your RCPC family. Maybe it's by joining a small group or thinking about volunteering with fellowship dinners, or perhaps as our youth are doing soon, you'll decide to do the high ropes course with us at Explore Park. It's in these moments when we're out of our comfort zone that we're met with our community, and we're reminded of our life in faith. It's a life that we do together, even when we feel unskilled for it. Amen.